to IMARA Woman Magazine. I'm your host, Wendy Brawley, and I'm joined by a talented team. To my far right, Donna Ayers.
Hello.
And next to her, Dr. Marcia Bavard-Wynn.
Hi.
And next to me, Jessica Martinez.
Hello.
Well, we have a great show with some incredibly hot topics for you today. And we're going to say goodbye and farewell to one of our team. Marcia's leaving us, heading to the Sunshine State. But we got something in store for you a little later.
Oh, gosh.
And we have a special guest. Kawan Fitch is here, and she's going to talk about her new book and some of the travels that she'll be making in the future with the IMARA Woman Magazine. So, ladies, are you ready to get started?
Let's get to it.
Well, let's get on these hot topics. The first one is Bike Weekend, also known as Bike Fest or Black Bike Week. Takes place every year in Atlantic Beach here in South Carolina. But, of course, the crowds have gotten so big over the years that it spills over into other parts of Myrtle Beach, quite honestly, 300,000 plus people.
Wow.
Well, this year it was particularly deadly, Memorial Day weekend, which is the culminating event for Bike Week. And 3 individuals were shot and killed, and 7 others were shot and wounded. There's been a lot of talk about actually ending Bike Week as a result of some of the violence and the large crowds. In fact, Governor Haley, has said she's going to push to end it, where Mayor Evans has said, no, you won't. What do you think? I mean, do we end? Do we extend? What can we do about Bike Week?
Can Governor Haley legally end that? Is that
I don't know. I don't know that she can really do that, that she has the authority to actually end something that's being started in a municipality.
I don't
But
think
she says she
ending
wants
it.
to end it.
She can want to, but if that's not in her legal, whatever she's allowed to do, then she can't do that. I can see her concern as far as the deaths that were there. That's a great concern to everyone, but I don't think ending the event is the way to go about it. I think they had a lack of law enforcement because, if I heard correctly, they had to pick and choose the incidents that they actually responded to because there were so many of them.
Yeah, they were.
So you need to, if you know that weekend is coming up, just beef up law enforcement to get it from other counties to come in and assist in that regard. But I don't think ending it is going to do it because that's going to affect, those people spend money.
Lots.
Between hotels,
Yeah.
food, shopping, they spend money just like at the White Bikers Week. They separate the two. And I'm sure there's some violence that goes on at the White Bikers Week as well that they don't talk about. No, they may not have the deaths we have. You got Hell's Angels, Harley Davidson gang. Those are gangs. Pretty
Not
much.
all of them are gangs.
Some of them are pretty much gangs, but you don't hear about those activities. They'll focus on the black bikers. You hear more about that every year. I never hear anything about the white bikers, and surely their events are not just calm, cool, and nothing ever happens.
But you know what?
That cannot be.
I gotta say, I can't believe that there's a black bike week and a white black.
That's technically the way it is. They go the week prior to, correct?
Yeah,
They do.
And no, it's not necessarily gang activity. I don't mean in that regard, but they have their groups too.
So it's
they have violence
so in
too.
the bike world, it's segregated too.
For those events, you hear about a white
wow.
bikers week and then the black bikers
you
week
have
follows.
to kind of understand the history too, because Atlantic Beach it was the only beach in the Myrtle Beach area, Horry County, that blacks could go to.
It's
in the
still
segregated-
largely
in the segregated
African
South.
American. Absolutely.
So basically, you had Myrtle Beach that was for whites, and you had Atlantic Beach, which it's just like a mile and a half, I think.
It's under 2 miles.
That was for blacks, and so
Wow.
that's where the tradition actually started because the bikers were coming to Atlantic Beach. But I mean, when you got 300,000+ individuals,
And it has
trying
to spill over
it's
to the
gonna
other
go into
parts.
other parts. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Donna, you're mighty quiet down there.
Well, I've just been waiting for my turn. I wanted to ask if any of my fellow panelists have actually been to either Bike Week, because I have been to both.
I've gone to
good.
Black Bikers Week one time, maybe 5 years ago.
Yes, as I have a lot of family in Horry County,
Okay.
and so especially in my college years, I was living and working at the beach, and I have ridden during Harley Week. I think the difference is, and you kind of alluded to this, is that the bikers are spread out along the entire strand, north to south. So that's one of the reasons you don't have the traffic issues. There has always been a traffic issue with Atlantic Beach because you're trying to get all those people in that
one
small
space,
stretch.
yeah.
And,
Wow.
you know, if Atlantic Beach is going to host this event, it is their responsibility to provide security. You don't just call up the troopers and say, send all your folks. And they do, I think, make an effort to get proper law enforcement every year, but they also have to pay
Right, the
those
funding is an
folks to
issue.
come. And traditionally, you know, Atlantic Beach has had some problems with their financial house as a municipality. So I think that that contributes. There is some raucous behavior, absolutely, at the Harley Week. I have witnessed some of it. I don't think you see the gun violence that you see at the Atlantic Bike Fest.
I don't think the
And
gun
that
violence is justified at all. I think that's blatantly wrong, but.
You know, but my whole life, you know, having spent summers down there, I remember hearing stories about the Bike Fest and different things that went on that were very disturbing. And I don't know how we address that, but as somebody who has lived down there and has family that lives there, and you know, it is concerning.
Well, it'll be interesting because, like I said, the origin of having it separate dates back to
That's about
you
30
know,
years
yeah,
they've been doing
in the
that.
80s. Whenever it got really, really popular, but before then, it was always a separate event. It was never, because it had to be, because that was the way the South was.
But if you don't get to the core of the problem, tell them they can't have it there, they can just find another beach. That's still gonna take the same people, the same issues, get to the core of what the problem is. If it's more law
Well, you
enforcement
know,
or more
Well, and it's
whatever.
different bikes too.
And
it's
you have,
different bikes.
And you have to
Oh,
look at it
okay.
from, if in fact it's an economic engine and an opportunity, then how do we harness that and make the most of it? And law enforcement is a part of it. I mean, any big festival, any big game, anything that's big with a lot of people who may be drinking or otherwise partying has the potential to be violent and potential to be dangerous. So law enforcement's presence is really necessary. But at the same time, what's the balance? I think that's the question. You know, do we just end it and say, you know, enough of this, 3 people died? Or do we try to strike that balance to keep the economic engine running at the same time that you provide the security that the people who live down there deserve and the people who come peacefully?
And the visitors.
Yeah, because you got
And the
got,
bikers.
You
The
got
bikers
20 or
deserve
30
that
people
too.
that might have showed out, and you got
And that makes it bad for the
370,000
masses. Yeah.
people that did okay.
That's right.
Well,
Well, maybe if they cancel it, then they can all go the week before with the
Still
white
hung up on the
bikers
fact that it's separate.
and have just one
Wow.
big happy bike family, right?
I mean, there are a few who are there for the right thing, so, I mean, don't let a few bad ones spoil the whole thing for everybody. I'm not a biker, but I know they enjoy that event.
Yeah. And bikers say that they do. One of the bikers even mentioned, he lives in Columbia, but he was saying over the weekend, that same weekend in Columbia, there were multiple shootings. And, you know, so people who want to be violent are going to be
They're
violent.
gonna be wherever they
you
wanna
know,
be with
wherever
that
they
same
wanna
activity.
be.
I definitely think, you know, I question whether the governor has the authority to do that as well. But in the meantime, let's do what we can to increase those law enforcement resources so that it is safe
So that can
for the
be-
residents and for the bikers that come to our state.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish. In your face, in your face.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
The next hot topic that is really, really in the news is this exchange that was made for a U.S. sergeant who was being held in captivity by the Afghan people. Well, the Afghan Taliban, not the people. And he was recently released, but he was released based upon an exchange that was negotiated between the U.S. and the Taliban, where we, America, released 5 Taliban detainees from Guantanamo Bay in exchange for his release. It has caused a tremendous furor in a lot of places that you don't really think about. Some of the soldiers who were, you know, served with this young man are upset about what led into his walking away from his command. But the bigger question is, was the administration correct in trying to negotiate to get him back and trading the hostages, trading his hostage situation for the detainee situation by letting those 5 Taliban go? Right or wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong. Boom.
I look at it from as two sides. As a mother who has sons who are in the military, if I had
Yeah.
a son that was a POW and that was your way, I want you to get him back to me by any means necessary. So as a parent, I'm glad to have my child home and safe. The way they went about getting him released, I guess, they're calling it prison swapping or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's basically boils down to negotiating with terrorists.
Absolutely.
And that sets it's going to set the precedent for them, like, okay, so there's a cost associated with one American. If we get one American and they want them, they're going to release 5 of our people. So, I mean, you might be setting a precedent there that could just backfire big time. And then the other stuff, of course, you're hearing on the news, there's the other guys in the military who served with him. They're saying we're celebrating him as a hero, and he's actually a deserter
He
and a
was a
coward,
deserter.
and they're just ticked off. So
Yeah.
there's so much to that.
I mean, he left a note
Yeah.
saying, I'm
pretty
going to the other side. He is a deserter, and in exchange for this person who is basically a traitor, in my book, we released 5 mass murderers back into the world. I mean, if you're sitting down in Gitmo, that's pretty serious stuff. And I doubt these guys are coming out of Guantanamo saying, oh, we're not going to mess with the United States. For the,
And that's
they're
the
probably
impression they're
pretty
giving, 'cause-
angry if, it's not a spa down there in Cuba where there's a reason they keep the most hardened criminals there. And it's just shocking to me.
They said
So
they
do
call
they
these.
Keep them
negotiate.
indefinitely? I mean, how does that work? Because we really don't have a lot of information about this, because the U.S. is not innocent. Every Latin American country has been exploited by the United States. Now, that doesn't, I'm not saying that I'm against the U.S. in any shape, form, or fashion, but Puerto Rico is a great example. Basically, the mountains were filled with gold, rubies, and we're not even considered a country. We're not a state. We're just an acquired territory. So we really don't know all the specifics. I know we hear a lot of stuff. I don't know if Sergeant Bergdahl, if he was a worthy exchange. I don't know, but
We
really
know that he
do-
wasn't. That
Yeah.
he was a deserter. I mean, he left a note.
But we don't really have all the information to really, make an accurate decision.
Maybe so, but I think, and I'll say this to play devil's advocate a minute, but one of the things that the administration has brought out is that, okay, even perhaps if he left under the most undesirable circumstances, and he was a traitor, deserter, all that stuff, the policy of the country is to never leave
No man or woman left
a
behind.
woman or a man behind. And as they were drawing down on troops in Afghanistan and this opportunity presented itself to get him back, then the country had an obligation to get him back. If in fact he has done something that is horrific, then he shall be dealt with through the process we have within the military, court-martialing or whatever the case may be, or if there are crimes against the United States, maybe it's something even more heinous than that. But that's been the administration's position. Do you agree with that? I mean, do you think we have an obligation in every circumstance to bring soldiers back home?
I
We
think you
bring
still
dead
have to look
bodies
at
back home. We risk lives to go get dead bodies to bring them back home so the proper burial
But
can
there's
be
a
had.
lot of
look at
those
the
are
lives that
soldiers
were
that
lost.
died
going after
honorably.
right.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is the president broke the law. There's no getting around it. He did not employ the 30 days that he needed, notifying Congress and the other folks.
Yeah,
It was
that's
all
the part
done.
that I have a problem
It's just
with.
there's no question. There's no argument
The
about the
checks and
fact that
balances, yeah.
that happened. And so that was another big issue.
Well, he
for
claims
me.
he had the power and the authority as the executive to make that decision because the opportunity came quickly, and that I think there was a 5-day notification of the potential of this exchange, though not very specific.
What is he going to do if they then capture another one and they want 5 more people
Yeah,
released
yeah.
in that regard?
It's a
You're-
slippery slope. I mean,
yeah.
It really is. We talk about gray beards. Did you see Osama bin Laden's
Yeah.
beard? It was pretty gray to me.
so the age makes no difference.
Makes no
I think age and experience makes you wiser when it comes to being a terrorist.
Yeah, you're probably right. Well, I mean, how do you think this is going to play itself out? You know, obviously the young man will get reunited eventually with his family.
Yeah, but his dad, I saw.
Yeah, that was weird with the dad. So he
Right
adopted the
into
Taliban ways.
Taliban.
And
I mean, did
Yeah, he's
that
sending
was
out a bunch of
very
strange
interesting.
tweets, and it is suspect. It is suspect.
I mean, there's a lot of things that we just don't know.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's a lot more going to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it will. I think in the coming weeks it will, and it might prove to be very explosive in
Yeah,
terms
I think
of.
I know some soldiers, they were very angry at, the fact that we were calling him a soldier. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's going to be no honor for him here. Who's going to celebrate his
they
fellow?
said 5 soldiers died.
Listen,
5 or 6
looking
died
for him.
looking for him.
Yeah, six
So no,
soldiers.
it's almost
lost
like
their
a
lives.
dishonorable thing.
Well,
I know,
it'll be
but-
interesting to see what happens. I can tell you, just from listening to you, it sounds like we got one that says, Donna, you really believe emphatically the president broke the law.
I do. And that Bowe Bergdahl was a traitor. And that we released 5 mass murderers back into society.
I agree.
Yeah,
Well-
but I heard they're going to be in prison for another year.
A year
Yeah,
only,
yeah.
and they're free.
So we keep them forever and ever when we have a prisoner.
Well, the
should.
detainees have been down there for a
Yeah.
long
They have
time,
that.
awaiting some kind of trial that hadn't
Yeah.
happened. So.
And that's
Okay.
that's a whole nother story too.
Yeah.
Well, coming up next, we're going to introduce you to Kawan Fitch, who is a local author who has had some of her novels made into stage plays. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
All in together now, we can make it better now. Come on.
Moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier. Search We Can to find out more.
Welcome back. We're here with Kawan Fitch, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her book. Kawan, you wrote a very interesting book, Confessions of a Welfare Mom. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what inspired you to write it?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Confessions of a Welfare Mom really came out of my desire to help women figure out why they're here. Why are you receiving public assistance? It started out as a project actually for my group. I had a welfare to work group called JOBS, Joint Opportunities Bring Success, in my nonprofit in New Jersey. And I just came in the office one day and just said, hey, we're going to do this as a class assignment and let's make a book. I didn't know 3 years later it would be a real book and many books, but the idea and the premise really came from to do some work internally to figure out why you're on public assistance and what is it going to mean for your life in the long haul. Was it a temporary thing that turned into a couple of years? And a lot of times women do not understand, mostly women who were in my group anyway, do not understand welfare reform. They didn't understand that there was supposed to be an end date to this and didn't quite get it. And we have all these great programs and different things that kind of came out of the reform, but the education just wasn't strong enough for me and where they really kind of broke it down into real time. So that's what the Confessions was. What is this system helping you to do? Is it something that's helping your family? Is it something that's you're using as a crutch? Is it something that's generational? And an opportunity for them to kind of figure that out and for us to be able to figure out how we can help them and get them to the next level as well.
Have they changed their lives?
A lot of them have. My coordinator, who actually was running the program in Jersey, we get a real kick out of the Miss Wilson's. I'm a manager now at Quick Check, or I've already finished school. We have some who are certified CNAs, people who actually started businesses, who are doing different things from Avon to actually one girl, her and her husband, well, he's her husband now, we were invited to the wedding, who actually started a record label.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
In
That's
our
amazing.
we had a entrepreneurship actual group that went on for about 6 weeks in our program. So, you know, it's a variety of different things because the whole premise was about how we can help you move to the next level.
I think it's so important because I used to be a welfare mom, and I went to this church, and he was so empowering. He said, ladies, you need to say farewell to welfare. And it was amazing because we all did, and I remember feeling afraid because it was kind of like a generational thing. And so you think, like, you don't think that that you're smart enough or you're capable enough to actually earn a living. And when the first job I got was cleaning toilets, but when I got my check, it was such a great feeling, and it was way more than what I was getting. And I went to and I remember I went to the welfare place, and it usually would take a long time to be seen, but when I went there, I was seen so fast because I said, how do I get off of it? He said, you want to get off of it?
To the front of the line.
Within 10 minutes. And, I remember feeling, I think that is so awesome what you're doing, because people get so conditioned and they just don't know that you can do better.
Absolutely.
And just like you said, it's generational. You broke the cycle, so maybe people after you will see that you're able to break it and they can imitate you.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's
what
right.
the
And
stories
Jessica
are
has
about.
gotten her education as well, and still going. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And that's what the anthology is all about, is really sharing stories with women, real life stories about this is where I was and you can do it too.
Well, we are looking forward, ladies, to having Kawan at our empowerment tour this year as our featured speaker. And so
wow. Very
and
exciting.
we
I
think
am
that it's
so
going to be
thrilled.
really fantastic because, I know a lot of the story is personal, and she's going to share some personal stories with folks that really resonate with people. So I think your books are wonderful.
Awesome.
And that you're helping people find new ways. And that's what it's all about, change.
Absolutely.
Transition, change. I think that's your word, transition.
That's my word. Women in transition. Absolutely. So I'm really excited about the tour and connecting with women all over the state of South Carolina.
Well, Kawan, thank you so much for being with us today, and best of luck to you with the anthology. We didn't even get to talk about the stage play,
I know.
but we'll have you back.
Sounds good to me. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
So stay with us. We'll be right back.
If I got to go to college, oh my goodness, I like discovering new things. You get to see what works for you and what doesn't. That helps you evolve as a person. You get to make like a supernova of skill or talent or whatever it is. I've always wanted to go to college. I just feel like that's my destiny. My name is Queen, and I am your dividend.
Y'all got your line right.
I'll say it right the first time.
Now remember,
You can get a subscription to IMARA magazine.
Now remember,
You can get a You can get a subscription to IMARA Woman magazine or a I'm so sorry, y'all just do it.
and also,
You can read our
okay, this is a silly segment. And that you learn something that both inspires and empowers you.
You can get a subscription.
I'm sorry.
You can get a subscription to IMARA Woman magazine. Why'd you laugh? I'm sorry, y'all. I really am.
Now it only took 20 tries. Welcome back. Oh, this is a happy, sad moment because we're saying goodbye to Marcia. We're gonna really, really miss you, girl.
Miss y'all
But we wish you the very best in Florida. Florida better get ready.
They better.
Marcia is heading south, and I know you're gonna do wonderful things. Congratulations, you're accepting a teaching position, a professorship or something at a
Teaching
college.
full-time at Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida.
Woohoo! Wonderful. We're proud of you, Marcia.
Thank
You have been a joy to work with.
Thank you.
You bring a lot to our team. And we're gonna miss you.
I'm gonna miss y'all too.
Even though she's deserting us like
Yeah,
Bowe
oh, now you're
Bergdahl.
stuck with that deserter word.
I'm a deserter.
It is a sad time. I just want to say, that your commentary is steady and steadfast and always researched and well thought out and well presented. And I have found you to be a worthy adversary. The few times we've been on opposite sides of an issue. And I have grown to respect you, and just want to say I'm so proud to call you my friend.
Thank you. Tito.
Said anything.
No,
Don't lose it, Jessica.
No, I just wanted to say that you're very inspiring. The fact that you have your PhD, and I was. Well, when I first was asked to come on the show, I was very nervous because I said, how am I going to be on the show next to a doctor? And you were just very open and very kind and down to earth.
Thank you.
And Rose was kind enough to do something really special for you, so I want you to... Rose, where is it?
Thank you.
Oh,
That's
really
beautiful.
lovely.
Oh, wow. We can't cut that.
Well, we can hold it up a little bit.
Can I show it?
Yeah, sure you can.
Maybe we could.
But if you drop it,
Okay.
girl, they're going to be mad. Because I got kids on that corner right there.
Isn't that pretty?
So beautiful.
We're going to miss you very much.
I'm going to miss
Marcia.
y'all
It's
too.
going to be hard filling your shoes. But we know you're going to do great things down there in Florida. And like I said, we'll be down soon.
Y'all better come.
Retreat.
Vacation in Florida.
Now, I know we've been doing all the talking. Is there anything you want to tell our audience or your co-host?
I'm looking forward to the new chapter for me and my daughter. She's going to be going to college, starting college at Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona, which is about 2.5 hours away from me. So it's new for her and for me, so this is very exciting. I think at the age of 48, I'm finally coming into my own, and I'm looking forward to spreading my wings and
you do
new
not look
things.
48.
No,
girl.
she doesn't.
But thank y'all for everything. I've enjoyed y'all. Y'all become a second family, and I'm going to miss you very much.
I'm going to cry.
Oh, well, Marcia, we got to close the show. You ready for your line?
I'm ready. I'm going to get it right this time.
Well, listen, that completes our show today. We hope that you enjoyed it and that you learned something that both inspired and empowered you. Now, remember,
You can get a subscription to IMARA Woman magazine or subscribe to our e-magazine online at amarawoman.com.
And don't forget to like IMARA Woman Magazine on Facebook.
And follow IMARA Woman Magazine on Twitter.
well, until the next time, peace and blessings.